Have you ever created a riff that you liked, but something with it just didn't seem quite right? Or worse, did you hate it altogether and you wanted to throw it away? Well, before you scrap it, have you tried repurposing it? I'm going to talk about 3 ways that you could go about doing this, and then at the end, I'll share an example of how I personally used a couple of these methods to repurpose a riff that I had made. But let's go over the first one, which is if it's a clean part, try adding some distortion to it. Or if it's a distorted part, try playing it clean. You might be surprised. Maybe you like the sound of it either clean or distorted, or the opposite. The second way that you could go about doing this is to change the way that you're playing the riff. So for example, if you're just playing chords, maybe try arpeggiating or just playing the notes individually as opposed to the full chords and seeing how that sounds. Maybe you like it better that way. And then the third method is to just try playing it in a different tuning entirely. So if you're playing it in standard E tuning, maybe go to E flat, or maybe go all the way to drop C and try that. Maybe you like the sound of that better. And I've seen people do this on YouTube. So for example, the song Everlong by Foo Fighters, it's in drop D, but I've seen people play it in drop C and they're like, wow, it sounds beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. It does sound beautiful. So you might be surprised. Maybe you really like the riff, but maybe it just sounds better in a different tuning. And now I'm going to share an example of how I personally used a couple of these methods to repurpose a riff that I had wrote. So the piece in question is called Waves, and if you haven't heard that, then I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video. But when I originally wrote this piece, it was a distorted tone, and I didn't like the way that it sounded after listening to it. I uploaded it to Instagram, and then after hearing it back a few times, I was like, man, I don't really like the way that that turned out. So I kept playing around with it, and I was playing around with it unplugged. And I was like, well, let me just try this with a clean tone. And I ended up liking it even better. But then I took it a step further and I changed the way that I was playing it a little bit as well with the techniques that I was using. So instead of just playing the chords all the way through, I was breaking the chords down a little bit more. And so I'm going to share a snippet of that piece now. So here's how it originally sounded with some distortion on it. And then here's how it ended up sounding with a clean version and a little bit of a different technique. So next time you feel like throwing away a riff, maybe try switching the tone on it or playing it differently, or just playing it in a different tuning entirely. The results may surprise you. So I hope this video has served you well, and thank you so much for watching. And until next time, stay cool like a cloud and have a great day.